Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are deconstructing Sheryl Sandberg's incredibly influential book, Lean In. This is the book that really kicked off a global conversation about women, work, and, the will to lead. So let's just dive right into the heart of it. The book asks this question that is just as important now as it was when it first came out. And it's this: with all the progress we've seen, why are women still so underrepresented in the top jobs? Sandberg doesn't just see this as a problem. She frames it as a challenge, a direct one. She calls it the leadership ambition gap. And this quote here from a commencement speech she gave, it really captures that urgency she feels. It's a total call to action. So, where does the problem even start? Well, Sandberg's answer is kind of surprising. She argues that the very first set of barriers, they're internal. So let's explore what she means by the battle within. She tells this amazing story from her first days at Harvard. She's in this class that had the nickname Heroes for Zeros, and she realizes that all her classmates had read these classic Greek epics in the original Greek, and she hadn't even read them in English. You can just feel that sinking feeling she must have had, that she was a complete fraud, one of the zeros. And that feeling, well, it has a name, and I bet a lot of you have felt it. It's imposter syndrome. It's that little voice in your head that says, oh, you just got lucky, or any minute now they're going to find out you don't belong here. It is such a powerful internal hurdle for so many smart, capable women. So her advice is to fight it, actively. First step, you just have to recognize the feeling for what it is. Then you got to challenge it. Tell yourself it's a distortion, it's not the truth. And finally, her master move, fake it till you feel it. She has this great anecdote from her time as an aerobics instructor in the 80s. She found that just forcing herself to smile would actually make her feel happier. And it sounds so simple, right? But modern science totally backs her up. Changing your body language can genuinely change how you feel and think. Okay, but let's be real, it is not all in our heads. Far from it. Let's talk about the external stuff. Because society starts sending us messages about gender and who gets to lead from the day we're born. Just think about it. From the very beginning, boys are often praised for being assertive, for being leaders. But what happens when a little girl shows those exact same traits? Is she a leader? No. She gets called bossy. And that one little word choice, it has this huge, chilling effect on ambition down the line. And this pressure to conform, it's incredibly powerful. Get this. In high school, Sandberg was voted most likely to succeed. But instead of being thrilled, she was terrified it would make her seem less attractive to boys. So she actually convinced her friend to remove her name from the yearbook. She literally hid her own success to fit in. And this isn't just a high school thing. This bias follows women into their careers. There was this fascinating study in 2012 where scientists were given identical resumes for a lab manager position. The only difference was the name. One was male, one was female. The result? The male applicant was rated as more competent, was offered a higher starting salary, and more mentoring. It's just a stark reminder of these unconscious biases we all walk around with. So, okay, you're up against these internal doubts and these major external biases. What are you supposed to do about it? Well, this is where Sandberg lays out a practical playbook. This is the core of what it really means to lean in. First things first, sit at the table. And this is both literal and figurative. Yeah, it means literally taking a seat at the conference table, not on the chairs against the wall. But it's also about raising your hand, speaking up, making sure your voice is part of the conversation. You have to ask yourself, are you really at the table in your own life? All right, next up is a piece of advice that's a total game changer for how you think about your career. Sandberg says, forget about the traditional career ladder. Instead, you need to prioritize one thing above everything else: growth potential. Go find yourself a rocket ship. This is the incredible piece of advice that Eric Schmidt, who was the CEO of Google at the time, gave to her. And the logic is brilliant. A company that's growing that fast, it's going to have way more opportunities than it has people to fill them. It's about choosing momentum, not a perfect job title. And finally, we get to what might be her most controversial point. Sandberg flat out argues that the single most important career choice a woman makes is who she marries. Now, this isn't about romance. It's about having a real 50-50 partnership. And look at this number. Of the first 28 female Fortune 500 CEOs, 26 of them were married. And over again, they say that their partner's support was absolutely critical to their success. It's a powerful point. A true partnership at home is basically the launchpad for a huge career. So all of these ideas, the internal struggles, the societal biases, the playbook for how to lean in, they all build up to the book's single most powerful theme, and that is confronting fear. And let's be honest, fear is a huge factor, right? Sandberg lists all these different fears that tend to hold women back more than men. The fear of not being liked, the fear of failing, and then what she calls the holy trinity of fear, the fear of being a bad mother, a bad wife, or a bad daughter. And that all leads us to this, the book's central, most powerful question. It was apparently inspired by a poster she saw at Facebook, and it's one of those questions that can change your whole perspective. So I'm just going to leave you with this to think about. What would you do if you weren't afraid?